Good evening, folks, and we've got some news on, well, not a topic I rarely or actually cover on this channel because I don't really care about it, but it is Star Trek, and it is about Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, a show I have not paid attention to at all. I frankly don't know anyone who watches it, so I can't really talk to anyone about it, but someone or some people must be watching it, and it's still popular. They're in Season 3, so they're making some money somewhere. So you can't disprove that. It's like something's going on. So the big news is that the show takes place 1,000 years in the future. Now, at first I thought this was a time skip, that events just continue on as they did, and then we see the future world from the last episode of Season 2. That's not the case. In this scenario, they are in some sort of transport warp thing, some time gate that goes into the future, and they are stranded there or have to deal with the problems there. So that's okay. That's better than, well, I don't know if that's a better thing if I have to change the entire cast around. But to do time travel requires a certain genre or subgenre, depending on your understanding of science fiction. That would be hard science fiction. So you have to get everything done right. Now, you can do it in soft science fiction, but it still has to be science fiction. You can't do it in sci-fi, which I got the feeling from what the cinematics and the visuals from Discovery was a sci-fi show. It's melodramatic, it's over the top, lots of explosions, lots of action scenes, lots of handycam shots or whatever sort of cinematographic shots they've got of long panning or zoom-ins or big sets, as opposed to classic The Next Generation, where you have one set all within one shot or within one camera. So this is bizarre. Let's see what's going on here. This will take 1,000 years in the future, the farthest that any Star Trek series has gone before. Okay, that's arguably true. We have had scenes of the 31st century, I believe. I think that was the Temporal Cold War and Enterprise, and we saw a bit of that as well in Voyager, I believe. 7 of 9 gets recruited to do some time-traveling hijinks. And those were pretty sketchy. Those were like, whoa, what's this weird show doing now? Voyager was always one of those hit-or-miss episode shows. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's weird, sometimes it's bad. And Enterprise, I'd say a bit more on the positive side, at least for my taste, for science fiction. And they brought in that with the Xindi arc. I think they did a few other episodes as well, where they had a temporal prime directive and a bunch of other cool things. But all sorts of lore was added to that, and how that works within the storyline for Discovery is going to be curious. So there will be things you recognize and don't recognize out of the creator of the CBS All Access series, who is, of course, Alex Kurtzman. Yay! Whew. At the end of Season 2, Discovery heads into a time warp, and when they come out of the wormhole... time warp, wormhole, okay. I guess that's just the event horizon of the time warp. Michael Burnham and her crew will be separated. Oh boy, and not in the same place. So not only do they get into a time warp that sends them to the future, they get separated. Ooh. They have big problems. Season 3 was shot in Iceland. We are not in Terralesium or Terralesium. Okay, so they're in another part of the world to do their filming. Ooh. Burnham goes through a lot of changes. Wow, she goes from a stoic half Vulcan to what? Or a stoic raised by Vulcans to what? She cries. She gets angry. She doesn't want to kill her captain. What? What happens to her? And she bears the big responsibility of taking the Discovery crew through a wormhole. Is this a time-traveling wormhole? I'm guessing that's what they meant. Because I think wormhole in the DS9 world is very specific. The big huzzah in Season 3 is the introduction to David Ajala's new character Book. Okay, that's not the most innovative name for a character and a story. But let's go with that. Okay. Book has a natural charisma and devil-may-care attitude. Oh, that'll work great when you're time traveling. Yeah, I could feel the hard science fiction descriptions and logic just coming from this character so strongly. So serious and definitive. Kurtzman also promised new characters in Season 3, but didn't reveal. Oh boy, you're spending more money on cast members. Of course you are. You have to. I like to lead every conversation about how we create Star Trek. With that, we filter it through Gene Roddenberry's vision of optimism. Really? I don't know. I think Gene Roddenberry probably wouldn't have greenlit this show, let alone approved of whatever Kurtzman was doing with it. There were a few other strange stories by Roddenberry over the years that weren't Star Trek related, like Andromeda, which was kind of like an action-adventure story, and Earth Final Conflict, which is more of a political issue if aliens came to Earth, and they were peaceful but had their own problems. I don't think he would have approved of what happened to Star Trek. I don't even know if he would have approved of DS9 when it came out. So, I mean, obviously I think he was working on it, but Discovery? Probably not. I can't see Roddenberry wanting to go full J.J. Abrams or full Star Wars with his TV show, or his franchise. We get to honor canon. Really? You get to honor canon. Is that before or after you destroyed and redid the Klingons and then brought them back to some capacity that they were previously? But we get to shake up everything. Okay, dude, what are you doing? You either are working with canon or you're not. Which one is it? I'll destroy this thing, but not completely. It's like, thanks, Alex. Great job there. We're not erasing anything. Well, if you're in the future, I guess everything's been done, so I know you wouldn't be erasing anything. But if I remember correctly, again, there were those episodes in Voyager and Enterprise where they're playing around with time, and there are all these ships and all these characters and all these events that had to do with the Temporal Cold War, the Xindi arc, a bunch of individuals going back in time to World War II, a bunch of characters from DS9 going back to the old series. So, yeah, I guess you don't have to touch those events. That would be fine. But I don't know what they'll be adding to the 31st century or whatever future world they are now in, future time they're now in. And there's no drop date. Well, it's going to be happening next year anyway. It takes 8 months to work. Holy crap. 8 months to work on the VFX and make Discovery look like a movie. That's basically a movie every week. What happened to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker? That finished filming this year, I believe in February. And it's coming out in December. That's crazy. That means they filmed 2/3 of a year ago for their shows to come out minimally. That is extremely long and extremely expensive for a TV show. So they must be making money. They have to be making money off this. And according to the daily broadcast TV rating, that's pretty handy just to use as a comparison. 2.64 million viewers. So I hope they're making their revenue from advertisement on something there. Because I don't know anyone who's watching this. I can't talk to anyone about this. I wish there's someone out there. So anyone who's watched the show, season 2 at least, maybe the ending, maybe the first few episodes, can you please tell me what is going on in this show? Because it did not appeal to me. I did not like the over-the-top visuals. As I made a joke about in the previous Picard video I made, I swear I heard some sort of Atari sound effect of the Discovery getting hit by some sort of attack. It was just, it looked corny, it looked silly, it looked glossy as hell, and very little substance. And I don't know what the big appeal is, but it's popular. People are watching it. They're making money. So it's gonna keep going. Okay, I think that's enough Enough science fiction for me, or sci-fi for me for one day. Have yourself a great day, guys. Whew.